To the Jews who believed in him, Jesus said, "If you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Good morning, family of God. Oh, how beautiful and wonderful it is to rise on this Friday morning, to sit and meditate and to think on today's activities and on the things that happened yesterday. Sometimes it's good to just allow those things to flow through your mind like water. And then you can examine them and see how they may have hurt you or helped you in particular situations. Maybe your emotions were on a pendulum, just swinging back and forth. And now you have an opportunity to refocus your mind and your attention, to refocus and think about what you care about. What do you spend the bulk of your time thinking about? Do your thoughts consume you? Are you worried about too many things? Or are those little trivial things getting in your way and not allowing you to spend your quality time thinking about what's really important in your life? Some of us need to simplify our lives. We give a flip about everything. And if you give a flip about everything, well, then really you spending your time and spinning your wheels because you don't have enough time to think about and give a flip about everything. We need to refocus our time and our energy today. That's my prayer for you, to think about what's really important, what really matters to you. Does it matter what everybody thinks? Or does it matter what those few people in your life who really bring significance and importance to you, who really love you? Is it important to think about what they're thinking about and to worry about maybe some of the things that affect your relationship with them? Just a nugget this morning. It has nothing to do with the lesson, but I think we need to learn how to spend our time properly, our energy, so that we can be more effective. Jesus here is saying, listen, if you hold to my teachings, you will know the truth. And once you know the truth will indeed set you free. I tell you, knowing the truth is so crucial today, but not all of us enjoy knowing the truth. I've come to realize that some folk enjoy basking in ignorance. It's a lot easier sometimes to just accept a lie because the lie sounds better. It fits my situation. I can take a lie and bend it and make it fit whatever I desire, make it fit whatever I believe and whatever I'm thinking. A lie can just sound so good sometimes. Jesus said, if you hold to my teachings, and I wanted to know, what were some of the teachings that Jesus was talking about? Well, he taught a lot in the Word of God, and most times he spoke in parables to his people, but there were a few times where Jesus spoke pretty straight and literal, and you couldn't miss the point he was trying to make. Like in Luke chapter 6 and verse 27, when he says to love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. Man, I tell you, if we just listened and followed just those few points, some of those teachings of Christ, our lives would be much simpler. We wouldn't spend so much time in hate. And hate has a way of draining you, making you feel just empty on the inside. There's no one who can walk around with hate in their heart and be in a disposition of anger all the time and not have some heavy weight on them. Hate has a way of making you just not even enjoy life. Have you ever just really hated someone and you had to see them every day? Man, I tell you, just the thought of them makes your heart flutter and certain emotions come up. You have to let go of hate. Back in biblical days, the teachings were a little different in ancient times. They were raised on an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. If you stole, they cut your hands off. It wasn't no court of law and no sympathy for you. You were a thief. You were treated like a thief. And while we all kind of buy in sometimes to that, and we believe that folks should be punished, and Jesus was not against punishment. You can read a lot of his teachings and you'll see it. You had to pay back your debt. But what Jesus was trying to say to the people who were listening, and if you notice, he said to those of you who will listen, because not everybody's going to listen. I've learned that. Not everybody's going to pay attention to what you're saying. Some folks just want to hear what they want to hear. But Jesus says, if you listen, he says, I want you to love your enemies. He was saying, pay attention to what I'm saying. Learn to love your enemies. He wasn't trying to tell people to be stupid and ignorant and put themselves in bad situations. But what Jesus said was, give people the benefit of the doubt. Give people the benefit of the doubt. We all have bad days. Don't give a flip about what everything that somebody says. You're not the word police. You don't have to go around and measure everybody's words, because you have trouble measuring your own. You have trouble bridling your own tongue and your own thoughts and imaginations. Jesus says, stop holding everybody else accountable for what they say, but yet you holding yourself, giving yourself a pardon all the time. He said to love your enemies. Now, who are these enemies? You know, back then the Samaritans hated the Jews, the Romans hated the Jews hated the Romans, Jews hated the Samaritans, and there was hate enough for everybody. And Jesus came along with this strange way of teaching, telling them, listen, if you obey me, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to learn to love those people that you hate so much. Do you have a certain particular people in your mind, a certain kind of folk in your mind that you just hate? Man, I won't lie, I struggle with a certain kind of people in my own mind, and it ain't got nothing to do with color. It's more to do with the character of people, with the integrity of folk. Boy, we tend to choose certain kind of folk. For some of us, it's a particular color, ethnicity, gender, whatever it may be, but we have some stereotypes in our mind that makes us hate people. And what's interesting is not the fact that we hate like one person. Sometimes if we are mistreated by one or two of the same kind of people, we begin to hate all people of that same particular race, color, whatever it may be. Why is that? Jesus came to teach us a little bit. He said, you got to learn to love your enemies. Sometimes those enemies hadn't done anything to us, to be quite honest with you. How is it that you can hate a whole race of people, regardless of what color you are, just because you've been mistreated by a few of them? Millions of those folk all over the world, but you've chosen to hate them all because you got a certain stereotype, a certain thought in your mind, because since one or two did you wrong, well, surely the whole race must be bad. That's not good for any of us. Jesus said sometimes the enemies are in your mind. Sometimes you create your own enemies, and you've got to learn to overcome your thoughts and love people. We all have plenty of reason to hate somebody. I tell you right now, I could think of a ton. But Jesus said that we should overcome those feelings of hate and replace them with love. Doesn't make you a punk, doesn't make you like tune out what's really happening in the world. No, it's not about that. But he's talking about those enemies that now you've created some blocks in your brain and in your spirit. You can't love people right because you got too much hate on the inside. You're dreaming up things because these people are vile to you, and you just cannot get over what they've done or what you feel like or think they've done. Jesus says, replace that with love. Replace it with love. Look at your enemies through a different light. Learn to think about, well, maybe they're going through some things. Maybe what they're doing is wrong, but maybe they come from a certain lifestyle or a certain frame of mind. Maybe I need to take a little bit of time to try and understand why they do what they do instead of just hating them all. love your enemies. It kind of reminds us that we're going to have some enemies in life too. And boy, I hate that. I tell you, I don't like thinking about having enemies. I try to treat everybody right, but I've come to realize that regardless of how you treat people, you're going to have some enemies. And they may not be the kind of enemies that come in your face and tell you they hate you, but they'll be those who smile in your face, but have dark backroom conversations about you and talk about you. But they won't persecute you face to face, but they'll persecute and tarnish your character. They only see the bad that you do. Have you ever had good intentions and tried to do good? You tried, man. You really did. You really wanted to do well by people. You tried your best, but them folk took what you did or didn't do, and they didn't measure you by what your intentions were or what you were trying to do. They measured you by what you did, and that one thing that you didn't do to make them happy, they hate you for it. Jesus says you got to learn to even love those people because they're going through some things as well. You got to learn to find the root of the problem and deal with it if it's possible, and then move on. Learn to love your enemies because your life will be better. And then he tells them this. He says, bless those who curse you. Boy, I tell you, I was at work recently, and this lady just cussed me slap out. I mean, just it was comical to hear some of the things she was saying. I'm thinking to myself, why are you so angry? The more angry she got, the more peaceful I got. I was just like, this is really funny to me. How people could show their ignorance and could act a particular way because they are dealing with something. Their issues are their issues, and I've learned that you have to bless those people. Don't return a curse word for a curse word. Don't be in a position where you're doing evil for evil. Let folk be who they are, but pray for them and allow God to do what God is going to do, not only in their life but in yours. The Lord is watching you, and he doesn't want you to hate those folk. He don't want you to curse back at them, to go back with this curse word so you can curse the best. No, what God wants you to do is to spend time blessing them. I tell you, I can do a lot better blessing you than I can cursing you. People remember the curse words you said. But boy, if you start blessing folk when they cursing you, I tell you, something happens in your spirit. You tend to not hold on to what they said about you because who got the last word? No, I got the last blessing. I didn't get the last curse. And finally, he says, pray for those who mistreat you. Boy, that's a tough one, ain't it? I do not want to pray for you when you've done something bad, man. I tell you what I want to do. I want to pray, Lord, help me not to get evil, not to go and punch somebody in the face. Lord, help me. Help me, Lord. But I don't want to pray for you. Jesus, with this strange teaching, pray for those, bless those who mistreat you, pray for those who treat you bad, don't curse people out, love your enemies. What is he talking about? This is a strange teaching. Pray for people. The last time you prayed for folk that you really don't care for. You don't know why you don't care for them. They've said something to you 15 years ago or made you feel a certain kind of way, and you just ain't got over it. You ain't even want to think about it no more. And no matter what those people do, what they say, or how much they've grown and got better, you still hold them in that box because that's what you remember. You don't think about the times that they helped you or loved you or whatever it may have been, but what you go back to is that moment in time when they made you feel a certain kind of way and you didn't like it. Jesus says you got to let that go. He says, pray for them. Pray for those who mistreat you. It's hard to hate somebody when you are praying for them. And he wasn't talking about, Lord, I pray that they get what they deserve. Lord, I pray that you show them, Lord, because I praise them in prayers too. I can't lie. But what Jesus is saying is that you pray for their needs. Ooh, that's difficult, ain't it? Pray for the needs of those folk who you know really ain't about nothing to you. Pray for those people and their situations that God will begin to change and work in their lives. Pray for them that God will bless them and anoint them and help them to find their calling in life. And maybe you'd get over some of the things that you've been holding on to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years now. Jesus said, if you hold to my teaching, you will know the truth, and then the truth will set you free. Or do you want to be free today? Read the truths of Jesus. And I guarantee you, if you hold to the teachings, Jesus says it will not only make you feel better, but it will set you free from hate. Be blessed, endure through all your trials, and know that God is still with you.